Okay, good morning everyone. So let's continue our class. So we're gonna discuss chapter 3, lesson 8 today. And for this lesson, I'm gonna separate it into two lectures, which is for today and the next meeting. So the first one, we're gonna discuss about the proof of sine and cosine derivative. And then for the next one, we're gonna discuss about the application of the sine and cosine derivative. Okay, now you can open your book, page 107. Page 107. So the goal of today is to prove that the derivative of sine x is equal to cosine x. The derivative, if fx equals to sine x, then the derivative is cosine x. And to prove that if fx equals to cosine x, then the derivative of cosine x is equal to negative sine x. So the objective of today's lesson is to prove the derivative of sine and cosine function. Okay. So the proving is quite long, so I need you to pay attention and concentrate on this. Okay. So let's begin with this one. If this is a UV coordinate system, and then I have a unit circle, a unit semicircle, like this, which the radius is 1. Okay. And then I have a line array like this with the angle of x in standard writing. I forget what's the term. Standard position, in standard position. And then from this drawing, from this graph, from this UV coordinate system, I'm gonna draw 3 different triangles. The first one is this one. Okay. And then the second one is not a triangle, but a sector of a circle, which is this one. Oops. This one. Oh. Okay. And the last one is this triangle. So basically this is a right triangle. The orange one is also a right triangle. And then the green one is a sector of a circle. Okay. Then of course the area of the orange one will be less than the area of the green one, and will be less than the area of the blue one, right? In any case of a circle, in any value of x, and actually it's not, it's supposed to be less or equal to. Okay, in any value of x, this is applicable. Okay, now if the radius is 1, then let's find the area of the orange one. The area of the orange one. So if this is the rectangle, this is x and this is 1. So basically the area of a triangle is base times height, right? So this is the height and this is the base. So we know that sine x will be equal to h over 1. So h equals sine x. And cos x will be equal to b over 1. So b equals to cosine x. And this is by the definition of the trigonometry function, the proportion, the triangular ratio, trigonometry, right? So the area of the orange one will be equal to half times base times height, which is equal to half times sine x times cosine x. Okay, so that's the orange one. And then let's move on to the green one. The green one is actually a sector circle. So this is a circle like that. Okay, and then the radius is 1 and this is x. Then actually this is a part of a circle, right? So this is a part of a circle. So basically the area is equal to x over 2 pi, because a full circle is basically the degree is 2 pi, right? The measurement of the x is 2 pi, right? So if we want to take x portion of the full circle, for example, if this is a full circle, we are taking x part of the full part. We are taking this one only, right? So it's x over 2 pi times the pi r square as the radius of as a area of a full circle. Okay, so if I cancel the pi, the radius is 1, then actually the area is half x for the green one. Okay, and then how about the blue one? The blue one, this side is 1 and then this is x. Okay, and we need the height, right? So the height over 1 is equal to tangent x, because tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the h is equal to tangent x. So the area of the blue one is equal to half times base times height, which is equal to half times base times tangent x. So it's equal to half tangent x. So now we all have the area of each color. Okay. Now let's continue to this one. We know that the area of the orange is less or equal to the area of the green, less or equal to the area of the blue one. Okay, so I can say actually half times sine x times cosine x is less or equal to half x less or equal to half tangent x, which is tangent x is actually equal to sine x over cosine x, right? Okay, and then multiply by 2 all side, and then I divide all sides with sine x. So divide all sides with sine x. Okay, so what I going to have is cosine x is less than or equal to x over sine x is less than equal to 1 over cosine x. And then if I reciprocal all sides, then of course the result will be 1 over cosine x. The direction will change, sine x over x cos x. Okay, and then I put the limit as x approaching 0 to all sides. So I will have limit as x approaching 0 of 1 over cosine x is greater or equal to limit of x approaching 0 of sine x over x, and it's greater or equal to the limit of x approaching 0 of cosine x. Now realize that if you substitute this, then it will be an indeterminate form, right? It will be 0 over 0. But this one and this one, if you substitute, it's actually will result to a number, which is cosine 0 is equal to 1. So I will have 1 limit of x approaching 0 sine x over x 1. Okay, let's stop here for a while. Now, if you have an inequality like this, you have something that's the value is in between 1 and 1 inclusively. So what do you think the solution is? Then of course there will be only one possible solution to fulfill the value of the limit of sine x over x as x approaching 0, right? Because it's in between the same number, which is 1 and 1, and it's inclusive with an equal sign, the inequality with an equal sign. So we can conclude by the theorem is called the squeeze theorem on your book, page 108. By the squeeze theorem, we can conclude if this situation happens, then we can conclude that the limit of x approaching 0 of sine x over x is equal to 1. Okay. So limit of x approaching 0 of sine x over x is equal to 1. Now, why do I do this? Because this property is needed to find the derivative of sine x. Now let's get into the main purpose. So let's say that fx is equal to sine x. So the derivative of f prime x, which is equal to, based on the definition, the mathematical definition, is equal to limit of h approaching 0 of sine x plus h minus sine x over h. Okay, minus h. Now let's review a little bit. So on the back page of your book, there is a trigonometric properties. Remember, if I have sine A, if I have sine A minus sine B, then actually the result is equal to negative 2 cos sine, and the argument is A plus B divided by 2, A minus B divided by 2. Right? Well, I bet you forget it, but I memorize it. So let's use this formula. So actually this is equal to limit of h approaching 0, sine minus sine. So it becomes 2 cos sine, addition divided by 2, so it's 2x plus h divided by 2. And then subtraction divided by 2, x plus h minus x, which is h divided by 2 over h. Okay. So the result will be limit as h approaching 0 of 2 cosine. Now because the h is equal to 0, so actually this is 0, so it's cos x, right? Time sine h over 2 over h. We still cannot substitute the h equals 0 to this one and this one because it will result 0 over 0. So this one is already not in terms of h, right? So we can put it out from the limit. So it's equal to 2 times cosine x times the limit of h approaching 0 of sine h over 2 over h. Now this is where this property comes. Okay, if the argument of the sign is equal to the numerator, then the sine x over x, when the limit of x approaching 0, the value is equal to 1. So the argument here we have h over 2. Now to use that formula, we need this h over 2, right? But of course we cannot change the value, so we need to multiply it with its inverse. So the result of the denominator is still h. Okay. So it will be equal to, the 2 is not affected by h, so we can put it out. Actually, it's 2 times cosine x times half times limit of h approaching 0 of sine h over 2 over h over 2. Now, the argument is already the same, and it's sine 0 over 0. So basically, the value of this one is equal to 1. Okay, cancel, cancel, cos x. So it's proven that if fx is equal to sine x, then f prime x is equal to cosine x. So that's the first one. And then after this, we have to prove that if fx is equals to cosine x, then the f prime x is equal to negative sine x, which is easier. Okay. Now, if fx is equals to cosine x, then actually, again using the formula, then actually the formula says that cosine x is equal to sine pi over 2 minus x. You can check with the formula on the back page of your book if you don't believe me. Yeah. So in this case, fx is equal to sine pi over 2 minus x. Right? And then we know that if the fx is equal to sine x, so the derivative of sine x is equal to cosine x, right? So f prime x is equal to, now be careful, this is a composite function. This is a composite function where the u is equal to pi over 2 minus x. Okay. So if you want to derive it, then the derivative is d sine u du times d pi over 2 minus x dx. Okay. So it's equal to cos u times negative 1. Right? So it's equal to negative cosine u, which is pi over 2 minus x. And by the formula also, trigonometric formula, it's written that sine x is equal to cosine pi over 2 minus x. So we use this one for this one. We use this one for this one. Oops, this one. Okay. So it's equal to negative sine x. Okay. So there are two formulas. I add two formulas today, which is if fx is equal to sine x, then the derivative of it is equal to cosine x. If fx is equal to cosine x, then the derivative will be equal to negative sine x. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.